Hey man, let's break the illusion. Not from hate, not from bitterness, from clarity. Because a lot of men are not getting destroyed by love. They are getting destroyed by fantasy, by projection, by calling red flags chemistry, by calling emotional chaos passion, by calling inconsistency she's just complicated. And if you do not learn how to read unhealthy dynamics clearly, you will keep handing your peace to people who never earned access to it. That is the real problem. Not women as a group, not romance itself, your blindness. A man gets hurt when he keeps projecting his own values onto the wrong person. He thinks, if I'm loyal, she'll be loyal. If I'm honest, she'll be honest. If I show up, she'll show up. That sounds noble, it sounds mature, but it gets men buried because dating is not about what you would do. It is about what the person in front of you is consistently showing you. That is where the truth lives. And the first truth you need burned into your mind is this: affection is not commitment. A woman can be warm, attracted, emotional, affectionate, and still not be stable. She can kiss you like she means it, text you all night, open up about her life, and still not have the character, discipline, or depth to build anything real. Men keep confusing emotional intensity with long-term value. Bad mistake. That is how you end up attached to someone whose feelings are loud, but whose patterns are weak. Now stay with me here, because what I'm about to tell you next is where most men start waking up. The wrong woman does not always betray you with something dramatic. Sometimes she betrays you in smaller ways first. Inconsistency. Delayed replies after strong nights. Pulling you close, then cooling off when she feels she has you. Giving you deep energy in private, then treating you like an option in public. Saying, I miss you, then disappearing all weekend. And the average man sees that and starts trying harder. More attention, more patience, more understanding. He thinks effort will fix instability. It won't. It usually rewards it. That is the second truth. Effort does not create respect where your standards are weak. In fact, too many men use effort as a substitute for self-respect. They think if they give more, they will finally be valued. But the wrong woman does not read that as strength. She reads it as availability. And what is too available becomes emotionally cheap. She starts feeling that you will tolerate anything, a cancelled plan, a lazy apology, a half-hearted text at midnight, a breadcrumb after 3 days of silence, and once that dynamic sets in, you are no longer being chosen, you are being sampled. That should bother you, because a man should never be in a situation where he is performing for clarity. Truth 3. The wrong woman watches your reactions more than your promises. You can tell her you are strong, you can tell her you are grounded, you can tell her you are not like the other guys. None of that matters. What matters is what happens when tension enters the room. When she goes cold, do you panic? When she tests a boundary, do you bend? When she gives mixed energy, do you chase certainty like a starving man? That is where your real level gets exposed. Not in your speeches, in your nervous system, and women feel that faster than men realize. B. They feel the man who remains centered. They feel the man who leaks. They feel the man who is trying to hold onto the moment with his teeth. That is why some men keep getting played. Not because they are too kind, because they become emotionally transparent too fast under pressure. The wrong woman feels that and starts controlling the rhythm. Now she decides when the warmth comes back. She decides when you get reassurance. She decides whether you sleep peacefully or stare at your phone. And once a woman can move you that easily, desire starts dying. Truth 4. Words are cheap when behavior is unstable. A lot of men still get hypnotized by soft language. I care about you. You're important to me. I'm just overwhelmed right now. I'm scared of getting hurt. Fine, maybe she means it. Maybe she does not. It does not matter. The question is simple. What do her patterns say? Does she make time when life gets inconvenient? Does she communicate clearly when the energy shifts? Does she respect you enough not to keep you in emotional limbo? Does she make you feel chosen or just occasionally remembered? That is the filter, because emotional language without behavioral discipline is just noise. Now, what I'm about to tell you next is where men usually want to argue because it stings. A lot of men are not in love with the woman. They are in love with the role she is playing in their unmet needs. She becomes the answer to loneliness, the proof that they are desirable, the escape from the grind, the fantasy of being deeply seen. And because they need her to mean that much, they start ignoring what is right in front of them. They tolerate disrespect because the alternative is facing their own emptiness. They stay in confusion because the truth would force them to walk, and walking would mean giving up the drug. That is why the wrong woman feels so powerful. She is not just a woman, she is your emotional shortcut, and until you kill that dependency, you will keep calling chaos connection. Truth 5. Respect disappears before the relationship ends. Most men miss that window. They think the breakup is the event. It is not. The event happened weeks earlier. It happened when she started speaking to you with less care, when your standards got tested and you laughed them off, when she noticed she could delay, dismiss, and disrespect without real consequence, when your yes became automatic and your no disappeared. That is when the shift began. By the time she leaves, she is usually just formalizing what your weak boundaries already allowed. That is why men need to get more honest about disrespect. Not loud disrespect only. Not just cheating, screaming, and betrayal. I mean the subtler kind. Repeated flakiness. Emotional ambiguity used as leverage. Keeping you close without giving you real place. Treating your attention like something she can turn on and off whenever she gets bored or lonely. The wrong woman does not always want your heart. Sometimes she just wants your access. Big difference. And if you cannot tell the difference, you are going to suffer. Now stay with me, because this is where the power shift begins. The answer is not becoming cold. The answer is becoming clear. Clear men are hard to manipulate. Clear men do not negotiate with repeated low effort. Clear men do not let chemistry override evidence. Clear men do not keep trying to be understood by people who are benefiting from keeping things vague. They watch, they measure, they step back, they let patterns speak. That is masculine intelligence, not rage, not cynicism, pattern recognition. You need that, because truth 6 is this: peace is a higher standard than attraction. A beautiful woman who keeps your nervous system wrecked is too expensive. I do not care how magnetic she is. I do not care how strong the chemistry feels. If dealing with her turns you anxious, obsessive, uncertain, and reactive, then what you are calling attraction is costing you too much. A man with purpose cannot live like that. He cannot build like that. He cannot think clearly like that. The wrong woman will not just hurt your heart. She will eat your focus, your routine, your discipline, your self-trust. Too many men underestimate that cost. Another thing, the right woman does not remove all difficulty from your life, but she does not constantly force you to doubt your value to keep her interest. That is a critical distinction. Real connection may have tension, but it does not thrive on confusion. A mature woman may challenge you, but she will not keep you guessing where you stand every other week. She will not make your nervous system her entertainment. She will not need to destabilize you to feel secure. So once you understand that, the whole game changes. You stop asking, how do I keep her interested? And start asking, does this dynamic deserve my energy at all? That is a better question. Truth 7. The strongest men are not the men who never feel pain. They are the men who stop lying about what pain is teaching them. If a woman keeps pulling you into the same cycle, the lesson is not love harder, it is read faster. If she keeps showing you that your energy is appreciated but not respected, the lesson is not be more patient, it is withdraw access. If every time you open up, you end up overextending, over-explaining, and over-pursuing, then the lesson is not be less emotional, it is be more disciplined with who earns your depth. That is different. The answer is not deadness, the answer is selectivity. And here is the part most men need to hear without excuses. The wrong woman is not always the problem. Sometimes you are, not because you caused her behavior, because you kept volunteering for it. You kept answering the late night half texts. You kept accepting hot cold energy. You kept trying to earn consistency from someone who was training you to live without it. That part is on you. And until you take ownership of that, you will keep meeting the same pattern wearing a different face. So what changes? You change what gets access. You stop rewarding ambiguity. You stop confusing attraction with alignment. You stop giving relationship-level energy to women who are still acting like temporary weather. You become a man who can like a woman deeply and still walk the second the energy turns weak, dishonest, or disrespectful. Not because you are bitter, because you finally understand that your peace is not a cheap offering. Your attention is not a donation. Your loyalty is not a trial version. It is earned. Now, let's land this where it matters. This is not about distrusting women. It is about refusing to worship chemistry. It is about refusing to call fantasy intuition. It is about refusing to keep projecting your own loyalty onto people who have not shown they can carry that weight. Once a man gets that, he moves differently. He does not panic at distance. He studies it. He does not overvalue early affection. He watches whether it matures into consistency. He does not chase women who create emotional static. He lets silence expose what effort was hiding. And from that place, something powerful happens. You stop becoming easy to break. You stop getting hypnotized by looks, words, or moments. You stop giving your heart to potential. You stop becoming another man trying to be enough for someone who has not even become enough for herself. You lead with standards. You love with open eyes. You stay warm, but guarded. Present, but disciplined. Interested, but never blind. That is the man who wins. Not because he controls women, because he finally controls himself. And once a man reaches that point, he no longer fears female nature, mixed signals, emotional games, or sudden shifts. He sees them early. He responds cleanly. He walks when needed. He stays when earned. He stops being a victim of romance and becomes a chooser in his own life. That is the real awakening. Not hatred, not fear, clarity.